The first readings from Exodus chapter 23, verse 14 to 17. 3 times a year you are to celebrate a festival to me. Celebrate the festival of unleavened bread. For 7 days eat bread made without yeast, as I command you. Do this at the appointed time in the month of Aviv, for in that month you came out of Egypt. No one is to appear before me empty-handed. Celebrate the festival of harvest with the first fruits of the crops you sow in your field. Celebrate the festival of ingathering at the end of the year, when you gather in your crops from the field. 3 times a year all the men are to appear before the sovereign Lord. This is the word of the Lord.
Do you ever have anybody at your Christmas lunch who keeps their hat on for the entire meal? You do? I have actually newfound respect for those people this week, because they're like, do you know what? It's Christmas and we're going to celebrate. Whether you like it or not, we're wearing the hat. Now, kids, if I said to you, oh, you must eat your vegetables, or, you know, you must limit your screen time, you'd probably think, yeah, all right. But what if I said to you, you must celebrate and have fun? You have to celebrate and have fun. Have you ever heard your parents say anything like that? No. Parents take note. So, do you know, God absolutely loves a party, and because he loves a party, he created festivals like Harvest throughout the year for us, to force us to stop and to rest and to celebrate and give thanks. And in fact, from our reading today, God commands that we celebrate. We worship a God that says to his people, take a break, rest, eat, sleep, have fun, arrange a party. Our Harvest Festival comes from the Jewish Feast of Tabernacles, and there's a lovely explanation about why it's 8 days, celebrated for 8 days rather than the 7 days in Leviticus. In ancient times, it was a tradition every night of Tabernacles for people to wait in the temple courts for the high priest to return from the pool of Siloam with a pitcher of water that would be poured out on the altar the very next day during worship. And his arrival with the water was met with loud shouting, and all the men would dance for joy, sometimes all night. And apparently, on one occasion, tradition has it that God was having such a good time that, like a child on a holiday who doesn't want to go home, he begged the people to stay in Jerusalem for one more night and have another night of fun. He was like, I'm enjoying your company so much. Please just stay for one more day. And so the tradition is that Tabernacles are celebrated for 8 days because God was having so much fun with his people. This isn't always a message, is it, that you get about God, that he loves parties and he loves your presence. And the gospel is full of parties that Jesus went to, the wedding in Cana, the gathering of friends all the time with Mary and Martha, the trips to Jerusalem to celebrate Passover, and our friendship with God is as described as one big banquet that we are all invited to. So we are going to celebrate this morning because it's a command, and that is the theme of our Harvest service today, is that we are going to celebrate. And we're leading up to a big celebration at the end of our service today. The Jewish people in Jesus' day gave thanks for the harvest, and we are going to give thanks too. And because in the same way that God provided for the ancient Israelites, he also provides for us. We are going to pause now and thank God for his goodness to his people. So during the next song, what I'd like you to do is write on your post-it note what you are thankful for. And you are going to come up, and we're about to find out whether the bunting is sticky. We're going to come up having written your thing of thanks on, and we're going to put them on the bunting. Hooray, it sticks. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing during our next song. I want you to think about what it is that you are thankful to God for, maybe in terms of his provision in your life. And then during the next song, we're all going to come up and stick those on the bunting. Got it? Yeah. Let's do it. Let's stand to worship.
The second reading is from Nehemiah 8, verses 10 to 12. Nehemiah said, "Go and enjoy choice food and sweet drinks, and send some to those who have nothing prepared. This day is holy to our Lord. Do not grieve, for the joy of the Lord is our strength." The Levites calmed all the people, saying, "Be still, for this is a holy day. Do not grieve." Then all the people went away to eat and drink and send portions of food and to celebrate with great joy, because they now understood the words that had been made known to them. This is the word of the Lord.
Thank you so much, Helen. That's great. Now, some years when God's people gathered to celebrate, things hadn't gone very well and things weren't very good. But what it is that they decided to celebrate year in, year out, no matter what. Even when the Jews were exiled to Babylon and then they were allowed back to land, all the way through that period, they carried on celebrating at all the times that they were supposed to. Things weren't easy. Our passage from Nehemiah is when they were rebuilding Jerusalem, which was a very slow and difficult task where they had lots of opposition. It was hard going, and Nehemiah was the leader of this. He had come from Babylon with a group of people in order to rebuild the ruins of Jerusalem. They were going through a really hard time, and he said to them, go home and prepare a feast, holiday food and drink, and share it with those who don't have anything. This day is holy to God. Don't feel bad. The joy of the Lord is your strength. Now, sometimes things can feel quite tough, and the news particularly is really tough to watch at the moment. But the people gathered in Jerusalem at harvest at this time, in Nehemiah's time, also felt quite broken and a bit downcast. And Nehemiah said to them, look, we need to follow the law and we need to celebrate because it's a commandment. We need to celebrate and we need to rejoice at harvest. We need to remember at remembrance. We need to party at Christmas. We need to do these things because these rhythms of life and feasting sustain us and give us life. So Nehemiah tells them, look, the Bible commands us to rejoice on these festivals. It's not about whether you feel like celebrating. It's about a discipline of celebrating. So go and eat rich, fatty food and drink and share it around and have a party, feast together. Then the joy of the Lord will be your strength. So don't wait until you feel like celebrating, like marking an occasion, like harvest. This is not about how you feel. Joy doesn't come when we stay in mourning and refuse to leave it. Joy comes when we have the discipline to celebrate. In Auschwitz, there are stories of inmates and prisoners dancing at Tabernacles, just as they would have done at the synagogue, because for them, God's command to rejoice at festivals was a commandment, was exactly that. And so because celebration is a commandment, we're going to have a party today. And we have themed our prayer stations around the room around the theme of a party. So there are different prayer stations. And what I'm going to do is explain what they are. And then we're going to take about 8 to 10 minutes, and invite you to engage in prayer for yourselves as a community. So over there at the table at the back, Macy will be manning that one. You'll have an opportunity to make your own shaker for worship, which we'll be using at the end and the final two songs. If you want to pray for our world, then you can go up the steps to the chapel. There's a world map there. Instead of pin the tail on the donkey, it's shut your eyes, put your finger on the map, and pray for that part of the world. If you also want some quiet space, do just stay in the chapel and pray. But also there are an opportunity to light some candles if you want to pray for particular people today. So there are candles over here and also over there. They're birthday candles. Do put them into the sand and light them and pray for those particular people. And then also, important to a party is that you need invitations. Over there we have a post box and some paper and pens, and the idea will be to write the names of the people that you want to invite to faith on those pieces of paper and put them through the post box. For those of you who don't feel like moving around this morning, there'll be some things on the screen that you can stay and pause and reflect in this space rather than having to move around. So that is what we're going to do. And when we come back, if you haven't already, you might want to get your party hat on. Because remember, it's a discipline, it's a celebration. We're all going to have to do it. So when we come back to celebrate at the end, we'll be wearing our party hats. If you don't already have one, do go and grab one during this period now. So shall we get up out of our seats? We're going to have some music on in the background. Go and pray together. So in a few moments, we're going to stand to sing our final two songs together. But what I wanted to say, first of all, is something about this line, the joy of the Lord is your strength. Because in Hebrew thinking, joy builds up, it's incremental. And so a celebration is the last thing that you feel like doing. You need to start somewhere, and that is where the joy of the Lord is our strength. So in Hebrew, the experience of joy builds, and there are 4 different words to describe this building up of joy in stages. And it starts with being as being described like a beam or a shaft of light under a door, or when a door is open slightly and you can just see the crack and the light coming through it, that tiny amount of light coming in. So when we make celebration a discipline, it's like that pinprick of light, or the light at the end of the tunnel that pierces the darkness and gives us hope. And then from there, as we enter into joy, it builds and it spreads. So I wonder what it looks like for you to make celebrating a discipline in your life, and how you can do it more often. So we're going to finish by singing 2 songs together. Kids, if you'd like to come up to the front, there are a few party poppers. It's first come, first serve. And also, we have a whole bunch of musical instruments and ribbons. And wearing our party hats, we are going to celebrate together at the end. So would you like to come and get whatever you'd like to from here? And if you've got a party popper, then stay and hover at the front. You can also stay and hang out in the tabernacle if you'd like to. So stay in the tent. That's it. Just take 1 each. That's it. Do you want one? Yeah, just take 1 each. That's it. Thank you, guys. Take 1 each. You can stay at the front. You can stay in the tent. Get your shakers. Everybody ready? Sorry. That's it. You want one?
Why don't we all stand and sing together? Bring out your shakers.